Four, two, one.
Well, a very warm welcome, everybody. I'm Steve Hammond from Broken Arrow Skyrace, and joined with me are Lindsay Webster, Ryan Atkins, and Nicole Mericle. Welcome, guys. They got some of the best in the world here at the sport. So we're going to kind of introduce Lindsay and Nicole. You guys have been battling it out on the obstacle course racing scene for a while. Nicole, you're the current Spartan World Champion, and Lindsay, you're the former Spartan World Champion, which is great. But you guys are best of friends as well. You got lots of accolades in trail running as well. And Ryan, multiple Spartan ultra trail, ultra world champion, and also runner up 3 or 4 times on the world champs, probably even more. But what's amazing with Broken Arrow Skyrace is that it's shared a little bit of the course, and it's shared a little bit of winners as well, with some of the Spartan races at Squaw Valley, now called Palisade Tahoe, which I'd love to get your feedback on that, guys, as well. So you guys may not have heard it got changed yesterday, so we will definitely go into that. But Spartan have hosted an event there, and so has Broken Arrow Skyrace. And the courses are kind of similar, but very different as well. So, Ryan, I'm going to head straight to you, and basically, what was you've done Broken Arrow Skyrace, but you've also raced at Squaw Valley with Spartan as well at their World Championships. What's your kind of, how similar are the courses, and why have you chosen to do, both, and obviously done well at it as well? So, what's your feeling coming into these 2 races with Broken Arrow and also Spartan?
Yeah, I mean, both races are done at the same venue. So obviously same vibe, same kind of start area. I guess with Broken Arrow, when I did it, there was still snow on the ground. And so it was just temperatures were different. There's no swim, there's no obstacles, and definitely different course layout. So even though you're getting the same views, they're kind of coming at you at a different pace and different order. So that definitely makes it feel, very much like a totally different event.
Yeah, I mean, athlete-wise, is it, you talking about, complete different athletes that compete, or do you reckon there is a correlation between, a swap over between the two, I say the 2 events, but I mean, they're 2 completely different sports as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think it takes a similar athlete, but different as well. Like, to do well at the Spartan event that's there, you need to obviously be able to run uphill fast, but you need to be able to transition between the running and then doing obstacles and back to running over and over and over again, and then really smash those descents. The descents seem to be a bigger separator in the Spartan race, I think, because the swim kind of would make your legs feel kind of crampy, and then and then just there's a bigger differentiation between fast downhill runners and less speedy downhill runners in the Spartan game, in the Spartan arena. Whereas with the trail running, I feel like there's less of a gap. Everyone's quite fast uphill and quite fast downhill. So it's more just, there's less explosions of gaps. And then there's less, in Spartan, there's some pretty brutal carries in there. So you have stronger athletes catching some of the weaker athletes there and putting, 2-3 minutes into them. Whereas there's really nowhere on the Broken Arrow sky running course where if someone's really good at a certain aspect of the race, where they're going to all of a sudden make up 3 minutes, that just doesn't happen. So it kind of favors more consistent pacing and just putting together a good race start to finish.
Yeah, great. Because Lindsay, you've won both the Spartan World Champs at Squaw Valley and also the Broken Arrow Skyrace, the 26K as well. You're the current champion as well. Yeah, you've done incredible at both sports, but you've had some very good battles with obviously Nicole as well, but also other trail runners. What would you say to other trail runners or sky runners, trying to cross over to the sport, or other really good OCR runners? It's a very attractive thing to come over to sky running as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to like having a good engine, I feel like. Running uphill, obviously you just need like a really good cardiovascular engine, and then it's kind of the same in obstacle racing. Obstacle racing, obviously, like if you're a trail runner coming to obstacle racing, I feel like, to be honest, there's people who, if you can like bang out a chin up or two and you can do some chin ups, then like you'll probably be able to do decently. But if like you're a trail runner and you have zero upper body strength, then like definitely work on that before you come do an obstacle race. And then for obstacle racers going to do a sky race, like it's surprisingly different because you don't have the obstacles to break things up. There is no swim, thank God, because it's frigid. And I feel like it's just like more of a consistent effort. I think I did pretty well on the uphills. Nicole actually beat my time on the downhill. And I think Morgan...
On the Broken Arrow course?
Yeah, on the Broken Arrow course. And Morgan Aratola was like right on my tail. This year will be a challenge because there's going to be a lot of really fast trail runners coming into it. So... and we'll also have some really fast obstacle racers. So we'll see how it all plays out.
Awesome. So like Nicole, I suppose the terrain on a lot of OCR races, that's what's the attraction to come to do, a sky run, because it's not all trail. There's a lot of,
You said the terrain?
Yeah, the terrain.
Yeah, I think that part of the draw is that you don't have the anxiety that you have with obstacles. And so it's a little bit of getting back to my roots of just pure running and being able to just focus on literally one thing, just running. The terrain is definitely similar to Spartan racing with, very mountainous terrain, not like super technical trails, but you have a ton of elevation gain. So there's that similarity. And just like super fun course, really big challenge, especially for where I was coming from originally, being a very like flat land runner. So
well, you've adapted very well. And unfortunately, we hear that you're injured right now. How's that going to sort of try and prepare for whenever the next event will be?
Yeah, I definitely have a bit of a road to recovery, and I will miss this year's Broken sport just because I've only done a few races since I kind of crossed over to OCR.
Got it.
So it's something that, really looking forward to trying more sky races.
Yeah. Well, I'll sort of take it back a wee bit, and for a lot of you listeners coming to do the Broken Arrow Sky Race. Well, we do have a green light, which is great. We've had a heck of a time up here in Tahoe. I live in Tahoe. I'm just on the West Shore here in Tahoe, and we got evacuated not so long ago, due to the Caldor fire, and the smoke was pretty bad. But it is all, the smoke especially is cleared up. The Caldor fire is about 60, maybe, or hopefully, 65% contained. And they're doing, firefighters are doing a great job at that. And, that's why the Spartan race and the Broken Arrow Sky Race is sort of given a bit of a green light for that as well. Yes, smoke can still come in and other fires can break out, but right now we're onto a good one with that, which is great. Might be a few course changes along the way, but we're very excited to have a green light this year. Had a lot of hurdles to get here as well. And then I don't know if you guys heard about the change of name for Squaw Valley.
Yeah, no, I just heard about that at the beginning of the call when you said that. So it's Palisade.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic call on the the Squaw Valley's part. They've chose to drop the name of Squaw, interesting name choice. I think from the names that they have there, I've got my opinions on what the name should be, but for the native slur of Squaw, I think it's a great choice. And make some great steps forward for sort of paving and changing the way. It's pretty good. Palisade Tahoe will take a little bit getting used to, especially for a lot of locals up here. But that is the new venue.
Steve, do you know the history surrounding the name? Like, is there
I've done as much research as I possibly can for that, and I think there's different dialects which in the native language which suggests that the word squaw is a derogative term.
But for the new name too.
We'll say that again.
Oh, for the new name, is there any additional reason?
Oh, got it.
That one.
Yeah. So in terms for Palisade Tahoe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the Palisades is the ski is an area of Olympic Valley where you can basically the Palisades are the very top part, and there's some awesome skiing up there. Palisade, I think, is a word for a wall or a kind of a fence. And basically there's lots of palisades in mountain ranges where basically it's just kind of a wall of rock. And I think that's where it comes from. So one of the very good areas to ski is the Palisades in Tahoe. There's a lot of Palisades in other ski areas too, but that's what they came up with. I think it sounds more like a housing development, but we go along with it, and I'm sure it will. It'll probably end up being like Pally Valley or something like that. I'm sure the locals will nickname it something.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mouthful. I feel like the right move to make the name change.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very brave. Not the first time. I think that if you follow some of there's Jeremy Jones and Cody Townsend, some professional skiers and snowboarders up this way have kind of posted recently on their pages. It's very, very interesting. It's not the first time that they've had a name change up here. I think Lake Tahoe. Tahoe originally was a name, I think in the Washoe language, which is called Lake. So technically it's called Lake, but apparently, one of the first people, from the West, Westerners, I suppose, that came in, so non-Indigenous, tried to call it, I think, their own name, and I think it got reverted. I have to look up a little bit more history on that, but it's not the first time, and it's not the first time that in this country that the name Squaw has been changed as well. I think that's been changed in quite a few places. But yeah, that's so some good, definitely some good changes, and we're in. Yeah, I look forward to people coming up here in beginning of October, which should be fantastic, but possibly interesting weather, as you guys all well know. What's your experience of coming up at this time of year in Tahoe, guys? What kind of advice have you got for people?
Never know what you're going to get.
I'd say definitely bring a jacket, because it could be chilly. It could be snowy. It could be a lot of fun. So prepare
At least
yourself.
you don't have to bring neoprene. In obstacle racing, you have to bring. You just never know if you're gonna run in a wetsuit or.
It could be 72 degrees, like it was. So last year, I actually went to Squaw Valley, Palisade Tahoe now, So I went there to run the day that we were going to have the Spartan race, and it was absolutely beautiful. It's like 70 degrees plus, and it was absolutely gorgeous. But obviously, no events happened last year. But this year, anything can change. What's your advice, Nicole?
Well, the weather seems to change the last week of September, especially from the Saturday to the Sunday. I feel like every Sunday, I don't know, for the last several years, at least in that last weekend, it's been snowing. And the day before it's been relatively nice conditions, nice in a different way, I guess, warmer. But yeah, I mean, with like sky running, the gear is a little bit more straightforward than OCR. So like Ryan said, like you need a jacket, you might need some pants, but you don't have to go crazy and wear like neoprene mittens and have like a dry bag to jump in the water and I don't know, neoprene socks or anything like that. So
it can change from day to day for sure, can't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just typical mountain weather where even it could even change in the matter of an hour or two up on the mountain.
Yeah, it can be pretty chilly at the start, and then on the top of the mountain, once you start going down, it could warm up. Or if you're doing 2 laps, that second lap could be toasty warm.
I remember a lot of years like starting in a t-shirt and we're all just standing on the start line shivering, and then by the time you actually start running, of course, it's like a hill start, and then you're sweating within a matter of minutes. But then at the top, always put a jacket on. Yeah.
The notorious in Olympic Valley for temperature inversions, and where and we have this all the build cycle for Spartan. We have this all the probably all the setting while we're setting the course for Broken Arrow as well. But we arrive at work at 7 o'clock in the morning, and it's 32 degrees, 0 degrees for us on the other system. But 32 degrees, super cold, frosty everywhere, and then you literally drive up the mountain, and it can go from 32 degrees to 50. Huge temperature inversions from the top to the bottom on very nice, still high pressure days. However, that completely reverts when we have weather systems that come in, and it can be fairly nice down at the bottom, and up top it could be windy as anything, and freezing cold, which is what we had 2 years ago at the Spartan World Championships, which was interesting to say the least.
Every year we've been there, it's been just like windy. Like I don't think we've ever seen a temperature inversion, and we've competed there I think 5 times now. But yeah, so I mean, fingers crossed for this year, because I love temperature inversions. You get really cool clouds, cool views. But typically like it's really cold at the bottom, and then it's like windy up top. But yeah, warms up as the day goes on.
So Ryan and Lindsay, what's your schedule? Is you kind of staying the same or kind of following the same pattern? What's your schedule for the next few weeks? Because this is now we're coming into big championship seasons towards the end, especially in OCR, but also in trail running as well. So what are you guys up to?
I'm excited because we have a bunch of races actually out in California. So like for Ryan, it starts with OCR and North American champs, and then we have Broken Arrow, and then there is like a Spartan Ultra World Championships, but I don't think you're going to do that. And there's like 2 other ones after that, but they're all in California. So we're going to rent a camper van, which we actually have a camper van, but we don't want to drive 40 hours there and 40 hours back. So we're just going to rent while we're out there.
Lots of racing.
Yeah, lots of racing, adventuring.
Tahoe, Big Bear, and then
and some Sequoia National Park and Yosemite in between.
Absolutely, yeah.
Taking breath, and my timer is going. That's why I keep.
Sequoia is absolutely beautiful, and you'll really enjoy. Don't forget to go to Kings Canyon as well. That's absolutely stunning. Great climbing up that way too.
Good.
Yeah, and Nicole, what's your rehab looking like? Any races on the horizon?
It's definitely not as exciting as Ryan and Lindsay's adventures, which I'm super jealous for. My plan right now is a lot of cross training. I'm still in the period of time where I'm progressing back to running. And so there's not any races on my horizon right now. But yeah, I'm just trying to kind of focus on getting 100% healthy, start running again, be able to start rock climbing again. And then probably next year, start thinking about races. So yeah, it's a pretty long recovery for ACL surgery, unfortunately.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, good luck with that, Nicole. And I mean, going back to cross training, how important do you think it is for for both trail runners, but also OCR to do cross training?
I use cross training elements in my normal training all the time. It kind of started because I was never able to handle high mileage training as a runner. I had definitely significant amounts of injuries in high school and college. My body just couldn't really sustain 80-mile weeks of running. And so I found that getting in the pool and getting on the bike a little bit helped considerably to be able to provide my body with an aerobic stimulus without all of the pounding. So I kind of found it through injury, where I think Ryan and Lindsay, they incorporate biking because they love it and they have backgrounds in it, which is awesome too.
Yeah.
I think actually for me, I'm on par with you, Nicole, whereas if I didn't do a lot of cross training, I would for sure end up injured. But I think it depends a lot on the person, because Ryan, I would say, does a lot of cycling, and then in the winter, cross country skiing and skimo, just because you love it. But you probably could run every day if you wanted to, no problem. For me, I'd end up in pieces. So
I think the other thing is that with cycling, you can just do so much more volume than running. Even people who run 100, 120 miles a week, a lot of people who do that are doing it on flat ground, and they're maybe doing it in 15 hours of running or less, which is pretty low. With cycling, you can do 20 plus hours, no problem. And so you can build a much kind of better aerobic engine by mixing the two of them than by just focusing on a ton of running and missing out on some of those hours.
It also seems like cycling helps develop the same muscle groups that translate a little bit more to steep trail running. Would you say that's accurate, Ryan?
Yeah, riding is pretty similar to running uphill in terms of musculature.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed a lot of cyclists doing very well on some of the sort of steep VK type of climbs. Especially in Europe as well, you get these cyclists. Do you reckon it's because of that big diesel engine in cross country biking as well, that they can transfer that over?
Yeah, totally. It's very transferable, and yeah, there's such a cycling culture in Europe that people have been doing it and racing from such a young age that they build up these massive engines, and you can go uphill fast.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan, Ryan and Lindsay, do you both compete in other sports, or are you just full-time professional athletes in OCR?
Yeah, I mean, I do some bike racing, bit of running.
I think we try to do
we try to do more and more. We do some skimo racing, and
it's tough to fit it in with the OCR schedule, because in obstacle racing there's everything's kind of a series. So when you do a series, there's 5 races involved or something, and it's a points accumulation, but it involves a certain amount of races, and you do a couple series, and all of a sudden your race schedule is pretty full. So this summer we squeezed in a few bike races, but I think we'd want to do more if we could, but it's hard to fit it all. And so we do it over weekend for sure.
It's hard with the training too.
Yeah, thinking of different sports, trail running, a lot of from what I gather, a lot of the professionals in trail running, literally that's all they do. The professionals in cycling cycle, and that's pretty much all they do. And it seems to be a lot of the OCR athletes are very versatile in a lot of different sports that are kind of similar. Why do you think that is?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. You see that in sky running too, like sky runners throughout the winter are skimo athletes. So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that because OCR has like so many different demands and so many different terrain requirements, that doing different sports can be beneficial in ways that maybe it isn't for cyclists or for trail runners, just because maybe if you do some rock climbing, it'll help with your obstacles. And maybe if you do cycling, it'll help with your uphill running. And maybe if you do, track repeats, it'll help with your speed. And you can kind of take all these elements and find places for them for specific courses that may be more flat or more mountainous or more obstacle heavy. And so it's always kind of a game of peppering in whatever aspects work best for your events and things like that. Whereas, with cycling and with trail running, it's all very similar. It's all just more of the same. So the training just kind of repeats itself.
Well, I suppose that's the element of sky running where you throw in the terrain. It's hard and odious sometimes to go out and train on the really, especially some of the European sky races where the terrain's just nuts. It's moving fast on bad ground. And I think that for me is what translates over to OCR, not necessarily any of the obstacles, but you're running, all over the place, not necessarily on a trail. And I think where a lot of people train, I know that I'm in the habit of doing it. You go and train and you run on these nice, green, beautiful trails. But then when you come to race day, how many people do you think actually, run 10 miles off piste, as it were?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Like in OCR, I guess we bushwhack a lot. And I don't think, or like run pretty gnarly terrain. I don't think I realized how bad it was. And then when we did Spartan Games, we competed with a girl who was marathon athlete, and I forget where she lives. Oh, she lives in Flagstaff. Yeah. And I imagine the trails are pretty like, I don't know, they're probably like fairly green.
I think they're super mellow. Yeah.
It's more and she does
trails.
Yeah, I think people who are like used to running on, I guess, like trails per se. I guess I didn't realize like how gnarly the stuff that we run on sometimes is. And then to hear it from another athlete who was like, oh, I'm a professional in my sport. Like, I don't want to risk injury. And like these trails that like, we're not running on a trail. We're just kind of bushwhacking. And a lot of the stuff is loose and steep. And like, you can't really run it. We're just like stumbling down this hill. And I was just like, oh, this is the trail run. But for, a lot of other people, it's like, this is absurd.
Yeah. And I think that's where some, outstanding trail runners fall a little bit short when they come into sky running, because it takes that little bit, more mountainous, the sky run in Scotland. It's phenomenal. It's, it's across Anakiga Ridge. It's this, knife ridge edge, and it's pretty it's pretty hard to go quick on that. And I think that's why good old John Albon does really well across the board in Spartan, OCR world champs, and also sky running. That's just and also trail running as well.
It depends a lot where you're from too. So like even between like in the Northeast, like I've run, I guess, the Great Range Traverse, and then I ran the other week like the Presidential Range, and like the two types of terrains, like you're within 4 hours of each other, but the terrain was like completely different technical running. And then like I consider myself a good technical runner, but if I go fell running in like the Lake District or Scotland, like I can't run on that stuff. And when I did the Golden Trail Series race last fall, like some of the girls were just like blowing by me on that terrain, because I had no idea how to run on some of the like fell running sections. Like I know how to run on rock, but I don't know how to run through like cow fields. So so it's I don't know, it's interesting to me.
It's very geographically dependent as well.
Yeah, so I wouldn't necessarily like count sky runners out as trail runners out of sky running athletes. I think it just depends a lot on also like where you are and yeah, and how you train. And yeah.
There's a lot of really competitive trail races in the US, like I think where the mountain running championships was just held. Any runner from like a cross country background could go in and do pretty well in terms of the terrain, but yeah, have them come to Broken Arrow and they'd probably be much more out of their element.
Yeah. So describe some of the descents for some of the people who haven't done the Broken Arrow here as well.
Yeah, I mean the descents are rocky, and at times steep, and at times not too steep, but just kind of like, yeah, lots of stuff coming at you, lots of rocks that are, you know, around yay big that are kind of loose and kind of
baby head size.
Yeah, lots of baby heads, but like not round, like sharp-ish. And yeah, you just kind of barrel through them. Super fun running, really engaging, and yeah, definitely an easy place to roll an ankle.
And then for me, I actually struggled on like the lower part of the course becomes, well, I think the one that we did actually, we had a different course. So on the descent, we ran a lot of fire roads lower down where you can just like open up your legs and it's just like downhill speed. And that's what Nicole smoked me because Nicole's got that track background and she's got better running form than me. And I just like, I don't know, like I ran fast, but like, I don't know, I struggle on that type of stuff. So very variable. I think there's a place on the course for everybody to like run in their element and put in their little bit of time and their competitors.
Yeah, it's definitely a bucket list.
Covered in a little bit of snow too.
Yes, there was that. We had I think there's snow this year.
Well, this year, I mean, I say, you know, fingers crossed and touch wood, this will be the first year that there will be no snow on course. And when I say snow, no, there might be fresh snow, of course, but no, like, you know, from the winter snow. And we know that Tahoe always get a lot of snow, but even in a poor winter, there's always some sections of the course that has snow on it, especially going into Shirley Canyon of the Broken Arrow Skyrace course. It can get super gnarly and slow people down. So we might see some lightning quick times on this course. And due to some construction as well, there's some definite course changes too. So we will roll that out nearer the race as well. But yeah, it's going to be a slightly different course as it always is, which kind of keeps us on our toes, and obviously you guys too. But we'll be running on a slightly different area that we've not run before, which will be
hints as to
what will be revealed.
Yeah.
No hints. A little bit different, mostly the same, but it's kind of quite exciting that we've got some little course changes on there as well, just to throw the spanner in the works, as it were.
Definitely.
Which is good. Well, thank you ever so much for your time, guys, and I can't wait to see you, Ryan and Lindsay here. That'll be absolutely superb. Nicole, are you going to make it? Obviously not running, but are you going to make the festives, or you've got other things going on?
I will be in Palisade for the Spartan Race North American Champs, and then I believe I'm coming back to Boulder. So I don't think I will be there for Broken Arrow, unfortunately.
Well, you're always welcome, as you know. Thank you ever so much, guys. Good luck with your end of the crazy season in OCR and also Broken Arrow as well. Can't wait to see you guys. Thanks for listening, guys. And